And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Father, help us, send some guidance from above. These people got me questioning, where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love?
Oh, it's right here on Declare Your Independence of me, Ernest Hancock. Revolution is alive and well across the country. Now, I don't know if we're seeing the same kind of enthusiasm and on the street and banners and every overpass on the freeway kind of, it's taken on a more traditional inside the system kind of thing. But, and we'll see as time goes on if that changes, if that's what they want, if that's the way to get there. Because I went through this before, 4 years ago, and you're dealing with the Iowa straw poll. In Iowa, the GOP, they did not like it. And I don't trust the whole system anyway. They pick whoever they want. For all we know, Ron Paul won. I'm inclined, after I saw what happened 4 years ago, to think that he did. But the GOP in Iowa, it's a moneymaker. And if they don't anoint the people that they can't be counted on to give the right people the nod, well, guess what? We don't need y'all no more in 4 years. So you guys do it or you're done. So, that may play a lot into it. I think it does, in my personal opinion. But the campaign is like, look, they were even having staffers taking down signs. They were excommunicating people from the meetup list. They were like, do not make the GOP in Iowa mad. That was what was going on. Now that it's over here, I can say that out loud because this time they played ball, and we'll see how that works out. So, but what happened? They ignore them. They just, totally bypass and so on. And you'll say, a lot of people, they'll go, well, he doesn't have a chance. Doesn't stand a chance. You know what? You don't have a chance right up until you do. And the people rise up, as they have in the past for Dr. Paul. And they're continuing to do it in every single poll. What does U.S. News and World Report do? They come out and they list everybody except Ron Paul. But who wins? 60% for other. I mean, are you freaking kidding me? So this is the point that Walter Block's trying to make. It's like, look, of course he can win. It's just how bad do we want it? Now let's go ahead and get some inside baseball here, Walter. How's the campaign doing inside? It looks like they're raising money and stuff. Be cheerleader, man. Give me what for.
Well, I'm not an insider. I'm a big supporter of Ron Paul, but I don't speak for him, and I certainly don't speak for his campaign managers. But my understanding as an outsider is he's doing magnificently well. His recent birthday money bomb on August 20th raised, what was it, 1.7 or 1.8 million? And they were hoping for 1 million, and they almost doubled it. Every other money bomb has been magnificent. Yes, he hasn't raised as much money as Mitt Romney, but Mitt Romney is raising money from the fat cats, whereas Ron Paul is raising money from the people in dribs and drabs at $20 or $100 or $200. Whereas Mitt Romney is raising more money, but from the fat cats who are dependent on the evil system that we now have. So I think he's doing very well there. The Ames straw poll that you mentioned, my thought was that if he won it, they would ignore it and say, well, this straw poll doesn't count, as they've ignored many of his other wins. And on the other hand, if he came in 5th or 6th, they'd say, well, that shows that Ron Paul can't cut the mustard. But he came in 2nd in a virtual tie for 1st, and I figured, wow, now they can't ignore him because Michelle Bachmann won it, and they don't want to ignore her because she's their fair-haired girl. So they'll have to mention him, but that just shows what an idiot I was.
No, I thought that's exactly what, 2 days before it, I said, let me tell you exactly what's going to happen. If he wins it, they're going to say it doesn't matter because, well, John McCain got the nomination and he didn't even participate last time. Blah, 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 blah. I said they're going to diminish this thing. If he gets low, they'll say, see, he can't win. The most perfect situation was exactly like you just said happened. I mean, you and I are thinking alike. I'm going, he comes in 2nd, and in this itty-bitty close 2nd. I think it was probably negotiated, So I'm just, do you trust these look at what happened 4 years ago, all the shenanigans that went on. Do you trust the GOP internal process to give him a fair shake?
No, I certainly don't trust the GOP, and I certainly don't trust the mainstream media. But what really rankles me, I don't expect anything from the Republican Party brass. And I don't expect anything from CBS, NBC, Fox, or those guys. But when the Reason gal got up on her hind legs and said, well, Ron Paul can't win, and when the Cato people are deprecating him, and when Stefan Molyneux is deprecating him, then I feel like a stab in the back. These people are supposed to be in favor of liberty. And here is the greatest promoter of liberty of the present era, promoting liberty to beat the band, and these people are stabbing him in the back. Now, this gal from Reason magazine, and I think all libertarians should end their subscription to Reason forthwith, she says, well, Ron Paul can't win. Well, you know, when people are talking about a horse race and they're saying, well, horse A can beat horse B and horse C is an outsider, the commentators don't have any effect on which horse actually wins. But commentators on political races most certainly do. If everyone says, well, Ron Paul can't win, well, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So here's this Reason. I usually put a T right in front of Reason to come up with treason for liberty. It's saying, well, Ron Paul can't win. Well, how the hell does she know that Ron Paul can't win? And why is she so smug and so happy in saying that, realizing she's a bright gal, realizing that in her saying it, what she does is it makes it more likely that Ron Paul won't win. Why doesn't she want Ron Paul to win? Doesn't she favor liberty? Isn't Reason supposed to be in favor of liberty? Evidently not.
Well, one, you're confusing me with someone that pays attention to what, anybody says in this kind of stuff anyway, but I'm looking at Reason as, over the years, as any libertarian would, pay attention. I've had, Nick and the guys on, and Jacob and all these guys on before and such, and I got the impression that they got their own support that they need to make sure they're nice to, and a lot of it has to do with access inside the Beltway. It's the same thing with Cato. Heck, Cato's even worse. And that they're part of the system as time goes on. They just kind of got a libertarian-leaning bent on it. And I'm going, so when I look at someone like Stefan Molyneux, and his criticism is from a different perspective. And I don't equate Cato and Reason and Molyneux. And I'm sure Molyneux wouldn't put himself in that bucket either. So I set him aside. It's more a philosophical thing, and he's just whatever. But, Reason and Cato and these guys, I get the impression, I feel more like they're more tools of the state when it comes down to it than, maybe they're counted on to do what needs to be done when they need them, because here Cato goes from San Francisco into Washington, D.C. I'm like, why the heck did they do that? So I'm looking at these guys, and I've worked with all of them on various different projects and such, but I just wanted to know what your thought was on people that are ingratiating themselves inside Washington. Do they get infected by that? Are they starting to try and please these people? Is that, you think, the motivation behind it?
Well, I don't think it's an inside the Beltway thing geographically. Reason is located in California, which is about as far away from the Beltway as you can get.
No, it's not.
Well, geographically it is, I think. Well, maybe Hawaii or Alaska or further, but California is pretty far away geographically.
Not philosophically, man. Who are we
kidding? No, not
here?
Philosophically. That's the key. Now, compare these two, Reason and Cato, with the Mises Institute, and you get night and day. The Mises Institute... some people might criticize Ron Paul. Heck, I'm associated with the Mises Institute, and I've criticized Ron Paul on this or that. I don't agree with him on everything, but that's just the nature of things. I don't agree with Murray Rothbard or Ludwig von Mises on everything, and I've written critiques of them, but it's a critique which is sort of a measured critique. I disagree with Ron on, immigration or something. Big deal. Murray Rothbard used to say every dog gets one bite or a few bites. There are disagreements. But I'm a supporter of Ron Paul despite some slight disagreements, whereas they are opponents of Ron Paul despite agreeing with him on, 95% of everything.
I want to make sure when we come back in the final segment with Walter Block, that what can we do? How can we support this message that Ron Paul has been such a great champion of? My entire life I was waiting for someone like him so I could put my head down and plow without having to worry about making excuses for somebody to speak for me.